Good morning. This morning I stopped and had breakfast. I also stopped at the phone store. Turns out I picked a good phone store. It was this small hole in the wall, dodgy looking place, but I thought, I'm desperate, I need help. So I go in there, I start translating. He has a Wi-Fi connection, so I use Google Translate to get my first sentence out. And there's a girl in the background. She all of a sudden pushes the phone in my face, and it's a video chat of another woman who happens to be in America. It was their sister, and she lived in America for the last 2 years. So she was able to translate everything perfectly. I learned the guy called about my SIM. I learned that the man who sold me the SIM in Ho Chi Minh City sold me a SIM specifically and only for Ho Chi Minh City. Hello. Which I specifically asked him, does it go all over Vietnam? And he says yes. So he lied just to get money. But I will go back and have a conversation with him and see what happens out of that. So now I have Wi-Fi, everything is perfect, 2 months. A side note, I asked her, being Vietnamese, coming from Vietnam, going to America, what is the number 1 or 2 or 3 things that you've noticed as a big change, whether it's a change for the better or change for the worse? Like, what big culture shock do you have going to America? And she says, number 1 is freedom. She says, in Vietnam, being a communist country, you have no voice. You cannot speak, you cannot talk bad about your country because it's illegal. You cannot. You're free to speak and say what's on your mind. She says in Vietnam you cannot, so that was number 1. And number 2 was politeness. She says when you see someone and you interact with someone, you must say hello. If you're going away, you must say goodbye. You must greet everybody, and it's a very different thing. And I've noticed the same thing in Vietnam. And it was interesting that that came from her. Over and over and over again, people interact with me and the locals interact with other locals, and I sit and watch and I see people come in and do business. Just like the lady, there was another lady who came into the phone store while I was standing there. She walks up, she says, I want this. The man comes and gives it to her. She gives the money, he gives the change, she walks away. There was no hello, there was no goodbye, there was no thank you, because I know those words. It was just almost no words exchanged. It was just like, this is business, we walk away. There was no greeting of any kind. It's rare that someone says, oh, hello, how are you? It's just not something that you hear very often. It does happen, but it's just not as prevalent in Vietnam as it is in America. So she said that was the big thing. You're more polite, you greet people more. I thought that was very interesting. Yesterday, I walked this way. It's about 10 o'clock in the morning, and there's a lot of people actually swimming. There was actually a lot of people swimming even 1 hour ago. It's perfect skies, very hot already. By 12 o'clock, everybody's gonna be dying. It's rather warm. My goal, I guess, was to walk this way, but it's about 3 kilometers if I walk the beach, the coastline, which I think I'm going to do just because. Oh, here comes a dog. What up, dog? He came all the way to say hello. There's many vendors setting up already. Being it's a Saturday, I'm assuming that there's going to be a wave of local tourism coming. Yesterday was all of the students on huge buses, and I'm assuming today is going to be no different. So as I'm walking, you see signs for a couple kilometers this way, kind of where I want to go. All these beautiful villas, beautiful resorts, like literally beautiful. $100 plus per night, which is big money in Vietnam. You have this beach resort. No, I think it's someone's house. Yeah, you live in that, but you have the most beautiful view in the most beautiful area ever. Well, I got a ride. Costs way too much money, but I'm here kind of where I wanted to be, explore the local area and not the tourist area. It's more fun. I'm gonna find something to drink. I am quite thirsty. It's so amazing. I always look at the contrast of everything. This market area is a bit different. If you cross the major street right there, you are in extremely expensive real estate. Hotels, villas, private homes, but just right across the street, you're basically here. There's always at least 2 parts to every market, and I realized that I was in the wrong area, the wet part, the wet market. It's all the fish, and let me tell you, it's always the worst smell on earth. I couldn't imagine being here all day. I went to look for coffee. I seen some back there, but it was next to the fish market, and the smell was terrible. So I want to see if I can find coffee near the vegetables. The wind is swirling. I can smell coffee, but I don't know where it's coming from. So I didn't find coffee other than the fish smell area, so I'll find coffee somewhere else. So I'm kind of walking. It's not the tourist area at all. People are staring like, what is this guy doing here? But that's okay, because it's interesting. This is Vietnam. This is why I travel. So although, yes, it looks a bit rough, people always question me, why do you go to these areas? One of the reasons is because it's the true feeling, it's the true untampered culture that exists before Western people come into the picture and change everything. Ugh. Welcome again to the sea. So this is actually a boat. These little blue things, as far as you can see that way, they're all boats. Every day you see people go out in a little teacup with a motor, and they go out to the sea and they fish, or they put nets out and collect fish with a net. They don't use the traditional boat. It's all in a big ass bowl. So in Vietnam, they like to put all of their fish out to dry in the sun, full of flies and birds, and you can only imagine what ends up on this meat, and that is actually what is sold at the market for people to buy and consume. Sometimes I'm a little bit picky about where I eat. Make sure your food is properly cooked. I cannot stress it enough. So I have decided that I want to explore here more, and I want to change hotels here because this is the perfect area. It's just such a complete local feel. My addiction again has kicked in, where I keep walking. I must have passed 100 coffee shops. I have not stopped because I just want to keep going. I'm crazy. So I just spent the last 30 minutes in a coffee shop. The locals kind of flagged me down and invited me into a coffee shop, and we talked with Google Translate, which now I'm down to about a half of a battery life on my phone. It was super fun. We got to know each other. Now I'm on a motorbike and we're going to eat lunch. He invited me, this guy here, he paid for my coffee even though I said no 10 times. He's very polite. Everybody was very polite. Now we're going to go eat spring rolls somewhere. Maybe at his house, I'm not sure. No idea where this is taking me, but the journey is always fun. So we just finished up lunch. We had pho again. Yeah, I don't know why, but he won't let me pay for anything, which is frustrating, but very polite, very kind. And then we stopped to buy dessert. We have it here. We're going back to the coffee shop, probably to eat the dessert, maybe talk some more. To be honest, this is fun because the only reason why I travel is really to communicate with locals, and it's amazing. In my first 2 days here, you get out of the tourist area and people shout at you and people kind of take an interest in you. Hello. Due to the fear of the waves, people are not fishing and people are not swimming. So again, I have no intentions, no schedule. I'm walking along the coast and the tractor is stuck. Oh, now it's free. I want to go swimming, but literally nobody is swimming, like 0 people. 0. I must say the water is so nice. It's incredibly comfortable. I have all my equipment in my pocket, so I can't go too deep, but the water is so nice. So last night when I was invited to drink with those people, the bottle of wine and bourbon, they had actually invited me to a party tonight at 6 o'clock, but I told them yes, I would come, but I'm so far from there right now, it's ridiculous. Part of me wants to say no and bag it, but then it would make them feel bad or angry maybe about tourists or foreigners who don't keep their word. I like this area more, but I really don't feel like going all the way over there tonight. It's amazing here. It's so hot, it is so windy, it keeps you cool, and it's just such a local town. To most foreigners, I swear, you would think this is probably the most boring place on earth, and that's cool. But to me, the feeling here is so local. I freaking love it. I've seen just a couple tourists pass on motorbikes, and that's it. Like, they don't stop, explore, they just go. It's like they don't see anything to do, so they don't stop. And I'm the other way. Like, there's nothing to do, so I want to walk and like be a part of the community and just see what everybody does every day. So interesting to me. For now, I'm just sitting, watching the waves, enjoying the sun, living in the moment. I love it. Oh, you know the market I was in this morning and how busy it was? There's just a couple people left over sweeping. Everybody is gone. Wow. I just assumed that it's their whole day's work and they just exist all day here selling time. So a morning to noon thing. As you can see, more contrast. So crazy to me. Yes, I'm in luck. I'm learning Vietnamese, and there was another sign. The word hotel in Vietnam, there's a couple words for hotel in Vietnam. There's also guest house, nhà nghỉ, something like that. So I learned that this means guest house in Vietnamese, and there's many places that don't pop up on Google. So I scoured the area. Everything is about the same price as what I'm paying at the other town. But anyway, I keep seeing this word and I realized I learned that it means guest house, I think. I seen a very small sign down an alley and I thought, okay, I'm gonna go check this out. So I go and talk to a woman. She's like 70. She lived in America for 30 years, had a grocery store and a couple things, and then she moved back here. Now she owns like a small, guest house, and it's very small, and Americans would see it as very dodgy. If I go there tomorrow, I will show you in the video. So this makes me very happy. That means I can stay in this town longer and explore more for fun. I said, is it safe? Is it dangerous? Like, are people going to break in? She says, no, I live here. She says, don't you worry. It was literally right here, and the beach is right here. Bad ass. I love the local feel. Well, I have a long walk ahead of me. A taxi driver stopped me on the road to get me to pay for his services to go to the town, but they always overcharge the tourists by like 3 times. And it's very frustrating, so I just choose not to participate. So I'm going to walk, enjoy the sunset. Thank you for watching. Remember, your time is running out. Start living. Take care.